Okay. No real preamble. We're just gonna kind of go back into it. The most advertising I'm gonna do is just to make sure I tag this thing, and get the right game and all that. I'm just gonna go for a little while longer. I don't know precisely what that means. I'm gonna mute myself while I do this at least. Okay.
And Mikhail noticed the windows, especially with how there are no windows on the south side. This was to deal with.
A blond man stands next to his son, pointing to the weather-worn ruins. He sees you approaching and smiles.
You, officer! Come to investigate the historic subtext of West Martinez? I was just telling my son about this building. Not many people appreciate the historic significance here. Very rich in hypertext.
Hold on. Define hypertext, sir.
Yes, hypertext. Young Carp and the collection of cultural hyperlinks.
Was that about windows before?
Oh, yes. So, Mikhail, they had to deal with monitor glare, especially in the summer. They still had vector monitors back then. That was 49 years ago. So they didn't have windows on the south wall.
You're talking about the building, go on.
Very important. Mikhail, say hi to the officer.
He rests his hand on the boy's shoulder. The child stays hidden behind the hem of his father's coat, clutching to his worm-themed coloring book.
Mikhail's a little tired today. We spent all night trying to run Orbis on his radio computer. Have you heard of it? It's a programming language used in Grad. Quite tricky, but he wanted to play this Grad-made adventure program. We've been getting really into Worms lately.
The man speaks in the artificial cadence of a professor, or someone who's been on too many radio shows.
But I assume you're not here for giant worms when there are so many real things to see. Just as I was telling Mikhail before, this is where the Coalition landed in '08. We could be standing on what is the most interesting landmark in Revachol West.
He points to the building again.
This man is your half-brother. You feel it. But why? Well, get a load of this guy. He really enjoys his trivia. The Orbis programming language was named after its inventor, Victor Orbis, a cybernetician from Grad. They run Vox in the Occidental countries.
What's so fascinating about an empty old building?
Aha! But it's not just any empty old building. What not a lot of people know is this used to be the R&D department of Felt Electrical. And Felt, which now sells ink cartridges mostly, was once a top dog in the turn-of-the-century cybernetics boom.
Hold on. What's R&D?
What's an R&D department?
Apologies, it's an acronym for research and development. They don't use it anymore.
He smiles brightly, laugh lines around his eyes.
You're probably more familiar with RTD, Research and Technological Development.
Mea Kalpa. You are not familiar with that one either. This man is a bookhead.
Look at the building looming over you.
It looks old and weathered, with seagulls picking apart its stone and metal carcass. Bushy undergrowth has taken hold of the collapsed rooftop. Some kind of bird has set up a nest on a broken windowsill.
Have they ever heard of this Feld Electrical?
That's not surprising. Only a vestigial ink cartridge and ferrotape manufacturer remains.
He adjusts his suit jacket.
They started out as a midway electronics outfit in Königstein 2 centuries ago. After an aggressive move to Revachol, Feld became a global player in the emerging personal electronics market of the pre-revolutionary era. Still, Tricentennial was beating them in business machines. But Feld had an ace up their sleeve, or should I say they were developing an ace up their sleeve. I'm mixing my metaphors here.
What was their ace?
It was here in Martinez, possibly in this very building, that they developed prototypes for a tape computer.
A tape computer?
An elegant folding mechanism of rollers and ferrotape ribbons,
Okay.
portable enough to be a take-it-home solution. Revolutionizing business machines, possibly even bring them to the average consumer, which is a feat of engineering even today's giants, Rehm, ICN and ZAM, haven't achieved yet.
Very interesting kind of alternative technological development they're painting here, where I guess computing came about a lot earlier, but personal computing is still kind of a way.
Indeed. What?
The revolution!
The boy wipes his nose on his sleeve.
Unfortunately, their moonshot project never made it to the market. Feld's move to Revachol backfired. The revolutionary government liquefied their assets and expropriated those very advanced prototypes. Possibly from this very building, or one of the adjacent ruins.
He pauses, points to the other buildings, and continues.
All of this was built by Feld, even the boardwalk. Wild Pines built Martinez proper as a resort for their middle management. Feld built this side of town for R&D.
You're saying that Feld Electrical built this boardwalk?
Yes, they even built a pleasure wheel, but that got destroyed in the war.
A wheel!
Oh, I dig that. It's not called the Ferris wheel because Ferris was a specific guy. That is a cool detail.
Yes, to lure in their star engineers. This part of Martinez was nothing but reeds before Feld arrived. They had to make the prospect of living here attractive. It was supposed to become a global center for innovation in cybernetics. But history had other plans.
What happened to the engineers, the company?
Oh, I'm afraid it didn't end well for the boys. But this story is a bit too dark for little Mikhail here. Now, if you were to ask about tape computers...
Wait. Is he saying that we should just bypass the excesses of the revolution?
Tape computers, right?
Tape computers.
He nods, wind tussling his suit jacket. What did the revolutionaries do with those advanced tape computers?
They used them for military communications, but also to write and send out press releases. The most notorious example being Le Décret de Mars.
What was that?
What's the Mars Decree? I mean the radio transmission sent out to news agencies and world governments by the newly created Commune of Revachol on the 7th of March in the year 02.
A short-lived legislative foundation for a short-lived utopia.
It's a beautiful piece of text, actually. A singer-songwriter I know, Charette, called it a love poem to Revachol on her political concept album, Bombessier d'Insolente. You should read it. Every local library in Revachol stocks a copy of the decree. I tried to get Mikhail to memorize it. Tried to. Someone was much too interested in worms to be paying any attention.
The kid takes a peek at the green and silver worm on the cover of the book, already forgetting about this part of the discussion.
How did those tape computers work? They work like radio computers?
Actually, no one knows. No one even knows what a computer made entirely of tape would look like. But word has it, they were very elegant. Exquisite, alien-looking turn-of-the-century hardware.
He raises his finger, remembering something.
Buckle up.
10 years ago, I did a little freelancing, I guess you could say. I was a special consultant for an exhibition at the Womty Dumpty Dum Center in Vredefort, Oranje. It raised the same questions, and we had lengthy discussions with Paul Ockerman, who was head curator at the time. This was before the twins Keith and Guy Hughes joined the team, trying to...
I'm gonna put this away.
Wait, did he just say Wumpty Dumpty Dum Center? He did it. He said Wumpty Dumpty Dum Center, like it's the most natural thing in the world. What the hell is a Wumpty Dumpty Dum Center? And who the hell are Keith and Guy Juiced?
Okay, the Wumpty Dumpty Dom Center, Paul Ackerman, Keith and Guy Juiced. What are you talking about?
The Womty Dumpty Dum Center for Contemporary Art. The exhibition itself drew on Lagerman's notion of memory, and so there were some parallels. That's why the head curator, Paul Ockerman, chose to...
Isn't a place called the Wumpty Dumpty Dom Center of Arts?
In fact, I'm not. The Womty Dumpty Dum Center is a place you can visit if you're ever in Vredefort and are ever in the market for an exhibition space / contemporary art research center.
Gorgeous, though.
But perhaps I should return to the tape computers. As I was
The
saying,
font?
the device itself was very elegant, fragile even. One could write directly on the tape using a special chemical solution. The machine would then analyze the handwriting, perform operations, and project output onto a white screen. It was a beautiful, delicate thing.
Made of black film and folding tape structures.
Cool.
Very, very cool. Though I understand the socio-economic causes of the revolution, it pains me to imagine the revolutionaries setting fire to this precious device. But so they did. The Feld playback experiment vanished into the fires of 07.
Wait, the Feld playback experiment?
Yes, the official name of the prototype. Some sources report it as the Feld playback experience, but those are incorrect.
Why did the revolutionaries destroy it?
Who knows? Maybe it was an accident, or maybe they didn't want the technology to end up in the wrong hands. Either way, they're all gone now. All 3 versions of the prototype. Nothing but debris and ashes remain inside that building.
He takes a step back, the boardwalk creaks mournfully in the wind. That's
But of
something
course, what else? No,
Yeah.
thanks to you for having me and little Mikhail here to pick your brain. A very interesting conversation indeed.
Pick your brain. If anything, this was rather one-sided. He did the talking. Whatever.
The power box, it changes nothing now. Charges nothing now, rather. It's empty. I was going to say, that's a pretty weird set of terms. I'm only good for money. Fence blocks the path. No way on from here. I see.
You see a once bright mural towering above you. The signage has peeled off over the years, but you can still make out Feld Electrical R&D. A slogan used to intertwine with the loops a long time ago. Now, only a shadow of peeled letters remains. It says, tomorrow is just a whisper away.
Tomorrow is just a whisper away.
Ah, yes. Their famous motto. A fine example of technological optimism from...
He says something, but the wind blows and you can't hear him. That'll have to do, I suppose.
The remaining windows rattle from a strong gust of wind. They're covered in a thick layer of grime. They must have been like this for 40 years.
Trying to see inside.
Dripping water falls from a high place. All you can see is the shadow of a collapsing staircase.
Model did the thing again. There we go, better.
There's rust and corrosion on the bars. They're foaming with it. And a small layer of white salt from the sea.
This is the corpse and the kind of unstable dock I don't necessarily actually want to be on, so... Might want my gun back before I like go in there, honestly. Whoops, didn't need that. Luckily I do have excess. The little black swallow circles above you. You hear it cheer up. I'm not gonna steal that. She'll coal pellets burn with an orange glow.
Hello, mister.
A young girl, barely 4 or 5 years old, sits on the sofa. She looks at you with frank
She
curiosity.
clutches a small stuffed animal. Occasionally, she twirls it around.
Are you Lillian's daughter?
Yes, I am. Little Lily. You know my mom?
Yeah, we met earlier.
That's nice. My mom is great. She's never angry or anything.
Is that you're holding? What are you doing?
It's Lammy. He's my friend. Sort of. Like...
He holds the fuzzy beast up to demonstrate.
Lambie is a stuffed lamb that, admittedly, has seen better days. One of the eye buttons is missing, and the fur is tattered in several parts.
Okay, well, pleased to meet you, Lammy.
Lammy usually doesn't like strangers. But you're also fuzzy, like Lammy.
I heard there was a girl in here with armored gloves. Is that you?
Oh, I had gloves. Very big ones. Heavy, too.
Where'd you get them?
Found them when Lemmy and I were playing hide and seek. In an empty house. Where no one lives. I think someone hid them there.
She doesn't want you to think she stole them.
Where are the gloves
I
now?
hid them. The twins were gonna take them. They're stupid.
She lifts her stuffed toy up and looks into its one remaining eye as though searching for confirmation. I do need those gloves.
Why?
It's a grown-up business. You wouldn't understand. Just tell her there.
Okay. I hid them inside of my sandcastle. Behind the house. You can take them. Bye!
The girl's large, curious eyes remain fixed on you.
weather has not been kind to Lily's little sandcastle. The once mighty towers are quickly eroding away. You can see something shining back to you from what must have been a vast underground catacomb network.
Broken.
A gust of wind disintegrates another piece of the cellar ceiling, exposing more of the mysterious glimmer underneath. The shithole's about to collapse. Smooth, reflective surface. Are these the gloves you're looking for?
Reach into the catacombs.
The walls and floors give way to the giant's greed, collapse and present you with a pair of ceramic gauntlets. A drop in temperature, an easy flow of air, an empty street. Before you, a thoroughfare unjammed with lorries. No more drivers smoking on hitch steps. Just silence.
What did the smoke smell like?
Chemically sweetened. Across the road, a forgotten bus stop. Corrosion has opened a hole in its roof. An elm tree watches over the building. Its branches are dripping with rain and snow. The road is smooth and motley. Craters filled with a black asphalt. The asphalt, first laid, is grey already. A row of tenements are under construction in the distance.
Where are the people who live across the
A
road?
tub warm with water, white with soap. A man bathes while radio waves transmit the lottery numbers. 4, 18, 21, 4, 1. A modern washing machine rattles a drawer full of silverware.
What about the bus stop?
Number 312D. Young girls used to come here huddled up, hoping for more warmth than their thin coats give them. The bus took them to school. It has not run for 8 years. There were not enough girls to sustain its cost.
What about the road?
Craters pocked the surface. Children played in them until heavy trucks full of black pitch rolled in. The landowners have filled the craters with money. It is a vital artery of the flow of trade. There's one bump on the road. A dead dog lies flat about 200 paces away, right at the turn.
A dead dog?
Tragedy comes from the wheels of a fast RCM vehicle, hurrying to work. The cold washes over you. The sound of the sea has grown distant. The wind moves the aerosol. A detective stands behind the boom barrier. A breeze moves a curl of his hair.
I can talk to them tomorrow, probably. It's Wednesday evening and something heinously exciting is underway. People have gathered beneath the billowing roof of an oddly shaped trophy building, sipping wine and exchanging opinions. 29-year-old Wonder Twins, Guy and Keith Just are the stars of the show, with their bomber jackets and white sneakers, head curators of this art exhibition. It's the Wompty Dumpty Domiest event of the year, and all the cool kids have RSVP'd. Where are you, if you are not there? There's something for me back there. It might be time for me to head back anyway. That seems like a with Kim type thing.
The scruffy-haired little boy kicks a stone. He can't be more than 5 years old. The other one looks indistinguishable from him. He watches his brother kick the stone with his tongue lolling out of his mouth.
You must be Lillian's
This
friends.
one doesn't say anything, kicking the concrete with his worn-out sneaker.
Lily's our mum.
Since the other one, tongue stalling out of his mouth. I already said
The
that.
stone kicker laughs suddenly. His head is too large for his shoulders. The other one laughs as well. Maybe there's some kind of reason why they're laughing. An interesting reason, somehow tied to the case.
What are you laughing about?
The boy stops laughing and looks at his toes. Oh, okay. So now he's shy. Now he's not talking. Just wobbling around like he's afraid of something.
Hello, your
Yes.
sister? Okay.
Yes.
Bye, kids. Take care. Fix the expression there. Tiny cage is carefully constructed.
Here we go. Nice and easy. No way out, little guys. Not out of this jam.
There's a cylinder on the ground in which the man is arranging some netting. It looks like some kind of trap. He notices you.
Who's there? Oh, the police. Hello, officer.
Is that the police? Why are the police here?
Gary the crypto fascist?
Don't worry, Gary. I'll handle it.
Fucking excuse me? Let's be more out. The cryptozoologist?
To what do I owe the pleasure?
That's sarcasm. He takes no pleasure from your appearance.
Lena sent me. She's really worried about you and is waiting for you to get back. I'm gonna throw this guy off.
Of course. Thank you for passing along the message. That damn water lock is broken, and we can't go all the way around the 881.
The water lock's been fixed. We found it across it.
Oh, good. We should really be getting back. Gary could use a hot shower and a warm bed.
Did he say we can go back now?
Yes, Gary! We can go soon! If you see Lena, tell her I won't be long. I just have to do one more round. See if the phasmid has taken the bait. Then we're going.
He refastens a bit of netting that has come loose in the wind.
For all his passion, this man is diligent and patient. You could learn things from him.
Tell me about this phasmid you're looking for.
Well, first of all, it's damn difficult to find, which is why we've been knee-deep in the reeds laying traps for it.
What makes it so difficult to find?
Good question. Being a phasmid of the order Phantasmodea, a ghost insect, it disguises itself as plant matter. In this case, the reeds. Awful lot of reeds around, aren't there? And I suspect it may have also developed other specialised techniques to protect itself from predators, or scientists, in our present case.
What sort of specialized techniques is the phasmid using to hide itself?
It's my hypothesis that it has evolved certain electrochemical defences that allow it to interfere with animal perception, impeding pattern recognition, confusing the visual cortex.
Intriguing.
But I cannot describe how these defences work, much less how they evolve, without studying a live specimen.
Yes, it makes perfect sense. You're beginning to suspect there's something paranatural about this phasmid. A ghost insect, he said? These people are looking for a ghost.
How big is this phasmid?
I'm expecting it to be quite giant. One known species of phasmid, called the Megaphasmodea zoensis, is about the size of a grown man's forearm. So,
He leaves the conclusion up to you. Ghost insect. So you're ghost hunters.
no, that is precisely what we're not. We are zoological specialists, looking for an extant species of phasmid.
Why are you so interested in the stick bug? Aren't there more sensational animals out there?
Typical rookie assumption. Insects are much more sophisticated creatures than those unversed in zoology give them credit for. Even simply catching a glimpse of the Insulindian phasmid would be the apex of my, of any, cryptozoologist's career. But to study it and its defences, find out how it stayed hidden so long.
He shakes his head. What have you discovered that so far?
Very little, I'm sorry to say. No one's ever captured a specimen, so all our information is based on first and third-hand accounts.
So no one's ever found one.
Not yet. That's what makes it a cryptid.
How do you, if no one can prove it exists, how do you know it's real?
I know it's real.
The cryptozoologist says, brusquely enough that even he seems taken aback by it.
It's clear that his obsession with the phasmid is driven by something more than the pure pursuit of scientific advancement.
By which I mean, I've heard enough first-hand accounts to believe quite firmly that the Insulindian phasmid is more than mere superstition.
You just said there's been a sighting pit here in Martinez.
Yes, the most recent sighting was by a couple of teenagers along the coast here. That's what brought us to Martinez specifically. It's the first credible sighting in several decades. Admittedly, it's an unusual location for this species, but with all the sewage runoff upstream, it probably doesn't matter much anymore.
The Insulindian phasmid has died out.
I have to resist the thought. Such an extraordinary creature is doubtlessly highly resilient. After all, it's generally thought to be capable of parthenogenesis.
Parthenogenesis?
Yes. The females don't need males to reproduce. Makes it easier for a species to survive in adverse conditions.
It's pretty clever.
Yes. The Insulindian phasmid is a very clever insect. That's why it's so damn difficult to catch. But as a scientist, I'll try my best to remain dispassionate.
Tell me more about these traps.
Well, they may not look impressive, but Lena designed them quite cleverly, so I'm sure they'll do the trick.
Lena designed the traps?
Yes.
He says with some pride. How do they work?
Simple. Attracted by the locusts, the phasmid crawls down the funnel and, having eaten its fill, can't get back out. At least, that's the intention. The net isn't a perfect solution, but we didn't want to use anything that might damage the specimen's delicate exoskeleton.
We're using this bait.
Locusts. Nearly all known phasmids are herbivores, of course. But we've hypothesized that the Insulindian phasmid might occasionally prey on other insects.
Inside the traps, a number of locusts crawl and tumble over one another in a tiny, chittering swarm.
This sounds like a theoretically fun kind of bad idea.
A meat-eating stick insect? Does it pretend to be the reeds as part of its ambush behavior? This seems unlikely.
A carnivorous stick insect seems unlikely.
Thank you for your opinion. We have also included plant material in the traps to satiate your skepticism.
What do you do if these traps don't work?
They'll work, I assure you. The predatory hypothesis, using locusts as bait, accounts for the failure of previous efforts by other teams, which use plants. We have given this some thought.
Ask you about something
Yes. What?
else. How'd you become a cryptozoologist?
I've just always liked animals and puzzles. Searching for cryptids is a bit of both.
So you're living your childhood dream out
It's
here.
not child's play. Just because I have to traipse through the mud every so often.
His eyes narrow. Have you discovered a cryptid?
No. Very few cryptids are ever discovered, and not for a lack of trying. To stay hidden is a cryptid's primary quality. It's even in the name, cryptid.
So, how many cryptids have been found?
Of the list of cryptids kept by the Cryptozoological Society of Chemnee, which is 4,082 items long, about 2,000 have been confirmed as hoaxes. 2 are categorized as confirmed discoveries. The rest are in differing stages of discovery, refutation, and data collection.
Only 2 have proven to be real?
Yes, the Chateau Quan forest pygmy, who turned out to be an extinct species of primate, and a cave salamander from Yugograd, who is, honestly, quite unremarkable. It's in a zoo somewhere. We cryptozoologists are brutally honest with ourselves, more so even than the public. With cryptids, most cryptids are hoaxes or they are never found. That does not mean we should stop searching.
Not approvingly, then the Insulindian phasmid would be the third.
Indeed. If our expedition is successful, every paper in the world will report on it. From Revachol to Dushantu. It will be a zoological miracle.
He has clearly done his math on this. There is no surprising him or swaying his opinion.
Thanks for explaining that, and now that's something else.
Yes,
Lena seems pretty eager for you to
and
return.
I'm eager to return to her, I assure you. But I can't leave before we finish with these traps. My wife understands that just as well as anyone.
You look south where Lena would be.
Come on, Morale. We've been soaking out here for days. It's time to go back.
And leave the traps? Absolutely not. I won't let Lena down.
Come on, she wants us back. I'm soaked up to my nuts over here. We'll both catch reed crabs if we don't dry out soon.
Won't let Lena down? Sounds like the cryptozoologist's wife shares a special connection to the phasmid somehow.
I know the phasmid was so important to Lena.
Of course it's important to her. She's seen it. A verified sighting, on record. One of only 4 this century, and it's hers.
Really? She cited the phasmid. She didn't tell me that.
Yes, that's How we first came to know one another, in fact. But that's her story to tell, not mine.
He coughs, then continues.
Needless to say, you must ask her about the mysterious Phasmid.
Suffice to say, it's long been our dream to find proof of the Insulindian Phasmid together. I can't abandon course now.
Maybe you go back to the whirling, warm up, come back and check the traps later.
No, no, no. The traps need to be monitored on a regular schedule. What would we do if the Phasmid were to starve while we were sipping tea at the hostel?
He's dead set on this.
No. And what if I check the
I
traps
didn't
for you?
expect you to take such an interest in our work here, officer.
Makes you thought I was surprised. Cryptozoology and detective work are very similar.
Yes, indeed. Both require a great deal of research, attention to detail, and, above all, persistence.
Where are these traps?
There are 4 in total. One is to the south, on this little peninsula, by the boathouses there. There's another we set in Land's End, to the northeast. It's behind a small sand dune there, on your way to the old radio tower, after the church. The third is set near the canal, where you crossed, by a concrete slab. A big thicket of reeds going up the slope, and among them,
Gestures to the trap in front of him.
you should check at least one of those before returning to this one, since I just said it. This one's more of a technicality, but still, better safe and stupid than sorry.
If I do, if there's a Phasmid one.
Bring it to me at once. Just make sure the trap is closed tight.
He's not comfortable with the possibility that you'll claim the find, but he's lying about this even to himself.
If I encounter the Phasmid in the wild.
That's highly unlikely, officer. But in the event you do, I'll spray you with a pheromone mixture I developed. It's made of musk and research chemicals. The pheromone should attract the insect to you, or at least prevent it from bolting at the sight of you. It's quite potent. Will last you about a week.
I don't want this, thank you very
Your
much.
choice. As I said, the chances of you encountering the Phasmid are next to 0.
But you feel you should have it on you. Something bad might happen. Don't mess around. Take the pheromone. It will make you sexier.
I'm ready, let's get to it.
Thank you for your help. Gary and I will start breaking down camp. If you have any more questions, now's the time to ask.
Finally, you're being sensible. I'll start packing right now.
If it's more cryptid-related business you want to discuss, you'll have time for that later too. But what if the information is vital? On the hunt.
Soggy long smell of ignition. Military blockades are riddled with bullet holes crumbling.
That patch of reeds over there, it's a great place to hide something. Kind of out of the way, being so close to the water.
What's this
Nothing,
about?
just a hunch. The hunch passes, leaving you there, by the old boy bobbing in the water. Time to go.
That boy bobs in the water. The number on it says 11. It's almost impossible to get a fire going this near to the ocean. It's a trap near the canal you cross southeast of the village. seems the walker was either very confused or drunk out of his mind, indeed.
There's a trap in the reeds at your feet. Looks like the same one you saw Morel set before. Same mesh, same wiring.
Look around.
The reeds bend forlornly toward the sand. You see slabs of concrete north. In the east, the city center hums to you. The constant, distant song. Louder on this part of the coast. Nearer somehow. And there's that cold again. Always the cold.
For the trap.
Locusts are crawling around in the trap, confused but uneaten. You see no carnivorous reed phasmid gorging on them. A familiar apparatus lies among the reeds. Another one of Morel's traps, weighed down by stones to keep it in place.
Look around.
Behind you, the ruins of a residential building rise over the reeds, shielding them from the wind. The reeds rustle confidently.
For the trap.
This trap is also full of panicked locusts. No sign of any cryptozoological beast inside. Man, it's lonely doing this alone. The wind seems to howl in a strange manner.
Cigarette butts cleaned away under a rock, brand Tiamoiti. Someone made a campfire here a long time ago. A rusted, broken control box to the radio relay tower. The ladder's too rusty to climb. The sea air is eating away at it. The relay tower coordinates boat traffic in the bay, barely. Tiny inlets off in the far distance where the posts trail toward. But I don't like it as much. Take a mental note. Timor seems important somehow.
This trap's not too hard to spot, once you know what to look for. Keeping it hidden has not been a priority for the cryptozoologist. The reeds sway in the coastal breeze. They seem to be waiting for something. The wind picks up here, near the Cape's end, surrounding the narrow strip of land from 3 cardinal directions. It's cold for this time of year.
Thanks for the trap.
Nothing but locusts in this trap as well. Definitely no cryptozoological monstrosity.
Then we will go to one more. So, Alright, just kind of adjusting my position, I guess. And we'll continue to. Well,
This is the last of the traps. The one Morel just set. Checking it over, he said, is just a technicality. The reeds by the abandoned campsite hiss and shake. It's good the cryptozoologists left. This isn't a very cozy place to stay night after night. The later it gets, the colder. Remnants of the camp can still be seen in the sand. The fire that's gone out. You feel strange, somehow.
reach for the trap.
The trap feels light and silent as you pick it up. Something is different here. No locust. No phasmid either, but still.
Look closer
Nothing.
still.
No traces of the locust or the Insulindian phasmid. What happened? The netting is a little untidy, messier than the others. Like someone or something picked the trap up and shook it before dropping it back down on the ground. The reeds continue to hiss around you as you put the empty trap back on the ground. Time to consult the professionals, Morel and Lena.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. I'm a little bit further from the mic, so I guess I'm going to turn it up a bit. Hopefully this is sufficient. Let me actually straighten my posture here. Okay. There we go. Not quite what I wanted, but that'll do.
The tear machine stand. Your bottles clunk in.
It's great to see you again, officer. My wife can't wait to thank you. Go on.
Oh, sweetie, I don't even know how to thank you for finding my husband and helping him out. I hope we haven't been too much trouble for you.
Just on my way while I was working the
Here,
case.
I want to give you a small token of my gratitude. It's a tie, Mexican origin. The pin is an antique, quite special.
Need you to raise that up just a bit. Better than that.
The little silvery knob holding the tie together feels warm in your hand. It's in the shape of an avian skull with 8 eyes. You could ask her about this when you get the time. It's probably a cryptid, but the phasmid, of course, is more important.
You never told me you've seen the
Oh,
phasmid.
you don't want to hear about some old woman's ramblings.
Ramblings? Nonsense. Your description of the phasmid is the most precise I've ever heard.
But, darling, I didn't even get the size of it right.
You were a child, my dear. Really. It's extraordinary what you were able to describe. Now go on. Tell our friend about it. He's proven his interest in the field.
Well, it was summer. I was building a racing track out of sand on the beach near a tall stand of reeds. Quite a tall one. Many times my height, I remember. When, all of a sudden...
Wait, when was this and how old were you?
I'm getting ahead of myself. I was 5 and a half in Betancourt in the suburbs. My grandmother had a summer home there.
She'd just started forming memories. Real memories. Not the billowy haze of infanthood.
Model is doing the thing again. Okay, that's cool. What happened?
The strangest moment of my life. I looked up and one of the reeds moved. Not like a plant, but like a living thing. It stood up and looked at me. Its body unfolded like some antique toy. I've never seen anything like it. I didn't know this can happen, so I reached my arm and touched the thing. It felt just like a stalk of reed, but it moved, swaying, towering above me. After a while, 20 seconds, a minute maybe, it left, went into the reeds.
Did you follow
I
it?
tried, but I was only a child. There was mud and high water. I couldn't see it anymore. I was just standing there, knee-deep in mud, looking around me.
Where did you go? Don't go.
Then what?
I ran back home to my grandmother and asked her if reeds could walk, and told her they were looking at me. Of course, she just laughed at me, but I knew what I'd seen. For years, it was a story I told at parties when I wanted to impress boys. That sort of thing. Of course, most people just took it as a strange, amusing anecdote. So did I, honestly. But then I met Morel.
We were on a date. Can you imagine? She tells me a story, and it's the most detailed report of the Insulindian phasmid I've ever heard. The sounds. She told me it hissed.
It did, yes. Like reeds in a gust of wind.
The way it moved, the colour, how some of its limbs were white, like marble. It matched perfectly with what I know from other accounts. It was amazing. If it weren't for Lena, I might have given up hope years ago. It's no exaggeration to say that she restored my faith in my profession.
Looks at her with admiration for getting a wide smile on his face. You know, whatever may be said about these two, they've got to keep the thing going. We're on a date.
Our first, yes.
The other one looks at her husband tenderly. Its limbs are white?
Not all of them. There is some white coloration reported, along with beige, where the camouflage ends.
How big was it?
It's hard to say how big things are when you're quite small yourself. To me, it seemed to be taller than I was then, but that's probably not the case.
She
You're
frowns
welcome,
away.
sweetie. I do appreciate the chance to relive it whenever I get one. It was just such an impossibly sunshiny day. So warm.
And she could get up and walk right into the reeds on her own, into the mud, anywhere.
That's all for now.
Behind the dockworkers, a ceiling height window.
I will be right back. I definitely need to adjust some of the stiffness on this stuff some more. I've been sort of fiddling with it for probably coming up on a good year now, actually. It just hasn't gotten me very far. Also, there's the while I wasn't really streaming.
Can I help you? Another thing, yes?
Leaving chewing gum wrapper found in the pocket of the laborer jeans gives off an ever so faint scent of apricots. Your mouth starts
There it is
watering.
again. The scent of apricots with a touch of cinnamon. Smells like the end of some distant summer. The surface of another planet, or some ancient temple.
End of
The
summer.
sun sets into the sea, but the water does not boil. Instead, it turns to liquid gold. For a moment, the world's store of precious metals seems to increase dramatically, and you are rich. There is a movement next to you, the shuffle of a small coat, warm like the evening. But when you turn toward it, there's nothing there.
Wait, come back.
Why are you talking to a gum wrapper?
Temple?
Yes, from the height of antiquity, a long, long time ago, millennia ago, on an island of time you can never return to.
Deep, deep breath.
Bitter, citrus, sweet. It seems to grow stronger, like a glow, with every breath you take. Whatever petrochemical byproducts they used to create this artificial flavor have bonded tightly to the wrapper. Or is that just your memory filling the gaps? Until a blossom of skin and flower petals erupts behind your closed eyes. Made of toffee, cream, and distance. You just had to take a dive. Feels so familiar.
Number one. You have found a trace of entity who's been stalking you across the plains. The Gloomstalker, the conglomeration, the shadowy organization behind your downfall. Possibly the dreaded X something. It is impossible to determine its true identity, but you can remember where you first smelled its treachery. Yes. Use the Tutti Frutti gum wrapper. Reconstruct the day you first breathed in her untrustworthy atoms. Maybe.
Nothing like the gratitude of a good woman. Now then, what can I do for you?
He gives you a gruff pat on the shoulder.
He tries to play it cool, remain professorial, but inside, this man is itching for some news on those traps.
So I checked all the traps.
Good. Okay. And
One of them was empty.
completely empty?
Yes, there were. The crypt was launched science go wide. Yeah, there was nothing in the trap. No locusts and no phasma.
No locusts? No phasmid either?
That's not ideal, but
The empty trap was the one at your campsite. Maybe this factors into it somehow.
I definitely left that one stocked.
Right from the campsite? Just means the Insulindian phasmid is even more clever than we thought.
She's engaging in a well-known self-deception called motivated reasoning. You should correct them.
Yes, the Phantasmadeia picked off the locusts and escaped. This is good news, though we'll have to reconsider the design of the traps, make them more secure.
Another trip to the Reeds.
It's not very scientific to reason backward from a conclusion you want to be true.
I appreciate your concern, officer, but please leave this to the experts. Unless you have an alternative hypothesis you'd like to venture. Actually, no. Excuse me for getting emotional. This is a big deal for us. You've helped us twice now, and brought some great news too. My gratitude, and the gratitude of the Société Cryptozoologique de Ravachol, is yours.
Heartfelt gratitude. But does it feel like closure? What really happened? Some kind of foul play might be afoot. Theft? This orange machine is dead still. It has a hand-cranked ice cream churner and an electric This orange machine, you slip if you...
Equip the prime.
I didn't think that would do anything, but you know. Uh, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. It's coming up on 6 p.m. There's something down there. Okay, yeah, I think that's actually like sort of what we were looking at earlier. We didn't mention there was something up.
You sit on the wind-worn wooden planks of the bench. Your feet ache.
Thoughts.
You finally stop picking your... Wumpty Dumpty Dum Center. You're at home, stupid cop. Not with the art crowd. You hate them. Everyone hates them. Even they hate themselves. It's nauseating. An industry built on sprezzatura and sparkling wine. And, let's be honest, tax evasion schemes. The Wumpty Dumpty Dum Center is the heart of this unholy symbiosis of aesthetics and tax optimization. And now that you've internalized it, you can have a piece too.
Oh god, my suggestion has gotten terrible. I honestly want to forget this. No, fucking let him learn, I guess. Waste for fucking skill point, that's fine.
You sit on the wind-worn wood. Time passes. You wonder how your gun is doing. Hopefully, it's okay. You're really starting to regret the poor way you handled your own sidearm. The twiddling barely keeps your hands warm against the frigid wind blowing from the coast. After a while, you've had enough.
Yeah.
I really owe you one for getting us out of those reeds, officer. Finally got all that soot out of my hair. Name's Gary.
Yeah, I'm more of a city boy
I
too.
like nature, just not this bloody coast. It's mostly drunks and degenerates that come here.
This man respects authority too much to see you for what you are. Pretend thou art a sober man.
Minutes. I've been trained to identify the slightest hint of degeneracy with the preeminent authority on it, of course.
Oh, I didn't mean it in any scientific way.
His gained stiffness of the forge. Anything about the men hanging behind the whirling
Oh,
rags.
so that's what the RCM in Martinez is about. Great. Great to hear someone's finally taking care of that.
So you do know something about it.
No. Nothing. He was some kind of mercenary. But everyone here knows that. I'm just glad to hear you're looking into it. That's all.
He didn't kill him or anything, but there's something going on here.
Okay. That's worth a note. Okay. Oh man, did I turn it up too much? No, I don't think so. I think that's okay. Use your cryptozoology too.
No. I help Morel with research sometimes, and I've learned some things along the way. But I don't usually go in for picnics like this on my own.
After all this time with Morel, he must have an opinion on cryptids. This could lead to a good one.
Many cryptids. Do you have a favorite?
Oh, yes. The burning rhino. Morel doubts he's real, but I don't much care, because I won't be the one looking for him out in Safra Serai.
What's a burning rhino?
A rhinoceros that looks ordinary during the day, but burns brightly by night. Well, at least the males do.
How do they burn?
They have special ducts just above their shoulder blades that secrete a combustible fluid. When the rhino is just beginning to light itself, it looks as though it has wings of fire.
But how is this combustible fluid lit?
How does the lighting of this fluid actually work?
The rhino starts running very fast to build heat, then stops, raises its head, and sparks fly from its neck, setting its back ablaze. Yeah, well, Revachol used to be a flaming rhino once, a long time ago. That seems unlikely too, doesn't it?
Super solid argument, Gary. Can't argue with that.
Only
The
males.
flames are not just for decoration. They are an integral part of the beast's mating behavior.
How so?
During the burning rhino's mating season, herds of male rhinos, all aflame, encircle herds of female rhinos, forming a fiery ring as they begin to copulate loudly. Local peasants call it the passion ring. They fear the rhinos, as perhaps they should. Anyway,
It's clear the burning rhino is dear to him on many levels, some even spiritual.
Thank you for your cooperation. Man, I'm not happy about that. I'll try and forget it.
The bed is still cold.
I want Kim for a lot of this stuff, so we're gonna just wait another hour and
You sit on the wind wall. Time passes. You wonder how your gun is doing. The bed is still cold from the broken window, and not too inviting. But it's yours. You've earned it.
just like
It's not easy, but your bones are so tired from what feel like weeks of work on the case. You have to try. After what feels like hours, you feel you might be sleeping.
Thoughts, baby. A million little lights in the dark. You're one fine instrument, brother. All those faces and all those names. All that laughter and screaming and scheming around. Every corner and every street.
Recorded in you. Forever. On Faraday.
swimming in eternity.
On and on it goes, for untold hours. At the disco where you first asked her to dance. Rising, rising, above the dark curvature, the great wingspan of sleep, studded with stars.
Behold, there are millions of them down there. The first time. The last time. The smoke in her mouth. The plotted flowers. The faces turning, changing.
What is it?
It's the world, Harry boy, and you're made of it. Every day you're out there, you make more of yourself from it. I'm afraid you can't be unmade now. You can never forget this shit.
The colors, the voices.
All stuck on loop. Whirling, spitting out words and images.
You're the son of the world again. Harrister, a ceaseless agent. Picking up litter and old newspapers. Collecting your little bubblegum wrappers and idiotic picture postcards. Meaningless keepsakes.
Reading your awful letters and recalling things, aren't you? The endless names of the world. An address book you are. The map of a city.
That's right. I am an agent of the world.
You'll go insane if you keep going like this. One more day, and you'll be in the loony bin. I just know you will. And for what, brother man?
For the greater good.
Solving your little crossword puzzles. Doing your tasks. Crossing names off lists. Trying to become some sort of world detector. It won't make it okay. It won't put smoke back in her mouth.
Making progress. Measured, steady progress.
There he goes again. He's a real political animal, our Harry. He still doesn't see that it's the world changing around him.
He's got no idea what he's in for.
Why?
'Cause only love can break your heart.
Feel the pillow under your cheek.
Beep, beep, beep. The alarm is ringing, Harry. The disco circus goes on and on. You barely slept 3 hours last night.
You can do it. It's nothing. Do it for the city. Go. Do it for the picture puzzle. Put it all together. Solve the world. One conversation at a time. Good. You're up. Listen, there's something that's been bothering you for a few days now.
What is it?
It's a suspicion, or a feeling really, that things are not quite in hand around here. An earth-shattering deduction from your psyche. What will those guys come up with next? Every day, things seem to spin more and more wildly, out of control. The center isn't holding. And despite your efforts to moderate and contain these energies, things only seem to be getting worse.
Wait, I thought things were going pretty well.
Oh, sure. You've been making progress on your case, interviewing people, solving side tasks. But who's focusing on the big questions?
Assuming the most qualified and highly credentialed people were taking care of that stuff. What am I supposed to do?
You've got to find out who bears la responsabilité.
Exactly is a lot of
The most
responsibility.
awesome, terrible thing. It is human nature to crave la responsabilité and to deny it. That's why it must be distributed across many different organizations, agencies, offices, and portfolios.
Alright, give it to me.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. This isn't some kind of dictatorship. You can't simply seize la responsabilité for yourself. It must be given by a legitimate authority, like a committee.
Do you really have time for all this?
There is always time to follow best practices. Once someone's decided to cut corners for the sake of expediency, who knows what else they're capable of? Swift, decisive action. A little self-dealing.
You should sit in this
Only
committee.
the most even-keeled minds in Martinez. Your half-brother, the lieutenant, is a natural place to start. Together, you'll be able to discover who has la responsabilité in Revachol. And, if necessary, you'll have the wisdom and expertise to assign it among yourselves.
What happens once we've assigned responsibility?
Most likely, your findings will be collected in a report, which will be carefully reviewed by your superiors. Once they've reviewed it, those same superiors will produce a set of recommendations to be taken up at the next meeting of the Standing Committee. Rest assured, no matter what happens, it will be done through the proper channels.
Prepare to take on this awesome burden. I don't know what this
Good
means,
luck.
but I can just not do
Your
it.
report is eagerly anticipated.
Good morning.
Yes?
Nothing. You have a whole lot of responsibility for me later. And the melting snow dripping off the roof. It's strange.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow
those
of the
two.
fuel preheater gauge.
Pick up the radio again.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you? Still no word, I'm afraid, sir. I know it must be frustrating. Was there anything else you wanted to ask? Just a moment.
10-4, come in, officer. Over.
I'm happy to report I found my badge, Jules.
10-4, sir, glad to hear that. I'll write down that there is no need to issue a new one to you then. Over. Roger that.
Okay, well. To start, who the fuck are you guys?
That's one brutal motor carriage.
Says the young man with... That is exactly what you think it is. Written on his back.
If I were a real skull now, I'd jack it, paint it in palm tree livery, then bottom light it, neon style.
His companion wears a simple yet elegant slogan. Fuck the world.
A snazzy shit-ripped skullmobile like this would make a fine trophy. We could, like, hang fucking shrunken heads from the side mirrors. Cops' heads. Scary tribal shit.
Yeah, tribal shit. A cop carriage like this would have proper skull value.
While I appreciate the interest you take in my brutal motor carriage, I have to stop you right there. The RCM takes threats directed at its property seriously.
It's just theoretical work, Copper. No basis in reality. Man, if we were certified skulls right now...
Skulls. Now there's a strong organizational title.
I can tell you who we're not. Cop. We're not snitches. Or skulls.
Which is not to say that the skulls are bitches and... On the contrary.
The part of this presentation you want to take home with you, Cop Man, is we're not part of the skulls. Yet.
Okay then, let's indulge in some intellectual exchange. These young men seem eager to share their beliefs.
Who are the skulls?
You don't know? What kind of cop are you?
It's not a question. Don't get into it.
Of course I do, I'm just testing
The
his voice.
skulls are the most vicious gang of the Besmertne.
His voice rings with excitement.
Besmatine, or the Besmatine, the Immortals, are West River Shoalian crime syndicates.
Any actual money out of that? Huh. Okay, that does seem vaguely worth it. Oh man, I'm gonna have to think on that one.
The nastiest bunch of psychos ever. jacking carriages and getting into high-speed chases.
Possessing an infinite amount of fuck-all swagger, infamous for their non-verbal modus operandi.
If a skull spots you, he will pull out his dagger and stab you without saying a word.
The lieutenant's voice is as calm as usual, a testament to the violence and death he's witnessed through the sight of his firearm.
They usually occupy the burnt-out quarter in Jamrock, or you can find them loitering around the brightly painted bottom-lighted vehicles.
I can't wait to become a skull. Bottom lights are wretched aggressive.
What's with the jackets?
What about them?
The dark-haired one. So what's up with Fuck the World?
Like I said before, many men keep searching for the one, for so-called true love, which is actually just obsession masquerading as kinship. The thrill of the chase, the hollowness that fills your chest cavity after catching it.
I'm wondering if the poetics come with the jacket, or are they derived from something else entirely?
To catch a fish, you'll need to hurl the lure many times, and even then it isn't certain that you'll get anything. If you blow up the lake, though...
Terrible metaphor.
You get more fish in a shorter time. And, for time is of the essence and fleeting ever so quickly, one must think of a way to fuck the whole world and not get caught up in fucking someone. Because when one
This is a lot more
fucks
conceptual than I
everything,
thought.
he fucks nothing. And that, to me, feels glorious. Sticking your dick into the void.
I think that the sort of nebulous, no solution, sort of rebellion is probably a little more respectable, to be honest, than whatever the fuck you're saying right now, sir.
Hate to admit it, but in a weird way, he's got a point.
I don't want to do that one. Off chance, anything about the murder there?
Murder?
Ms. hanged in the backyard of the Whirling Rex.
Yeah, sure. We'll gladly tell you everything we know about it. It was a man.
Also, he was hanged.
Anything else?
He was hanged from a tree.
Yeah, I mean, duh.
These punks don't know anything. Let's just move on.
Hey, stop right there. How does one know anything?
This sounds like epistemology, a field so occupied by thought that it begins to question thought itself.
I know that you don't know shit.
Exactly. How can one know shit? For example, how can one be sure that there truly is a body hanging behind a hostel?
What if it's art? Or just a mere specter?
Maybe it's true. The hanged man is merely a prop in a performance. We are the audience, and the artist is hiding somewhere in the dark.
It's not a man. It's
So what do you think we know?
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio mic.
This is Precinct 57. Just a...
10-4, come in, officer. 10-4, sir. Sorry, but I'm under orders to give a negative. 10-4, roger that.
I think I might have just screwed myself out of that. No, I wanted to talk to what's her face. I don't think the lore investigation is going to turn up anything really. So it's apparently giving me like, it sucks, but it does like tank my suggestion completely. But it is actually paying off really well, even in terms of just these media encyclopedia checks. So, we'll keep it on that basis. Shadows in the water, green plants under the calm surface.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with?
Found my badge.
I
by the way.
love you did.
She inspects a piece of blue plastic, her eyes scanning from left
Pleased
to
to
right.
meet you, Lieutenant W. Freighter Dubois. I am glad to see a man of high qualification. The situation is precarious.
What can I help you with, Lieutenant Tiafreta?
How about you share your information on the lynching, now that you've seen his badge?
The goalposts have moved, Lieutenant. In the absence of the badge, I have informed my employer there will be a probe. I cannot rescind that promise. To my knowledge, the drivers are still at the roundabout. I will tell you everything I know when you've finished with them. My plan is to share information. The only way to do that now is by telling my employers you've kept your end, which I hope you will, because let me tell you, we are in dire waters.
Meaning, the information she has will raise the stakes in this game.
The sooner the probe is finished, the sooner I can share crucial information with you. Now, is there any... That's the man who was killed. I'm afraid better not time.
She wants to
My fucking god. Maybe I could have predicted this, but... Oh, well. Used to smell potato salad and spring emanates from the air vent.
Looking for something, Hunt? Come to tell me to fuck off again?
I'm not fucking leveling halfway. Okay, well... If I had the fucking gun, that would do it. Hard to really say.
The door has braved the elements for decades. The copper nails holding the upholstery in place have turned green from sea air, and so is the knocker, shaped like a lion's head. As you turn...
We should leave and go talk with Evra. Tell him what happened, that we couldn't open the door. Maybe there's a walk.
The door has braved...
I didn't even try to open it, so... That seems to be a bug.
Now it's turning into a kind of a snow limbo, man. What's on your mind? What? But I told you she's my friend.
Put yourself in
Please
my
don't
shoes.
make
I
me
need
give
some
her up
investigation
detective.
too. It's important.
You're not
going
gonna put a bullet in your head if you blow it, are you? Because she's on the edge, man.
Imagine it, an explosion of stars. Goodbye world of men, money, and machines.
Thank you for...
I should definitely at least take the gamble, right?
Looking for something, Hunt? Come to tell me to...
Men like this
Oh, fuck.
only respect two things, strength and fear.
Show me her lorry right fucking now. The lady driver's lorry. Where is it?
Fuck you, I told you. I'm not gonna...
There. His voice grows smaller as yours.
I'm not even gonna say that, but you can read it.
Look, fuck you, man. It's some lorry down there. Green, banged up thing. I don't fucking know who she is.
When did she go away?
I don't know. I don't even know her name. She just rolls with the fleet and acts like a big shot. Some dyke, probably. I haven't even seen her for days. Past the monument, down there. The Green Temple. Now, leave me the fuck alone, okay?
A small temple by the monument. Green. Let's get into that lorry.
Looks like he got his adrenaline up, too.
Got very lucky there.
This green found, A to Z, contemporary, is parked in the shadow of the ruins looming overhead. It's seen better days.
This must be the one he told us about. Unless he was lying.
Lieutenant Deacon said, how are we gonna get this
Use the
open?
pry bar to smash the window. Open it from the inside.
Good idea.
I don't know how good it is, but this investigation has taken long enough. We can't afford it to take any longer.
This green found, A to Z, contemporary, is the glass on the side windows is tinted and covered with dust. You can barely make out the shape of the seat and two steering levers. Posters cover the small windows in the back. You can't make out what's on them. It feels like you're peeking into someone's home residence. Inside it's private, cozy, warm, dusty too. The door is locked. The handle looks shiny, like it's recently replaced. This green found, to pry bar in hand. You take a hard swing at the window. A loud thunk rings out and the pry bar bounces back, leaving a tiny spider web on the glass. Looks like the window might be shatterproof. You may have to rethink your approach.
It appears to be
No,
shatterproof.
it's not shatterproof. Give me that.
Takes the pry bar from you just as you step back, then with a little warning.
He smashes it into the window. Droplets of glass fly everywhere, shattering over the lorry floor and pavement. You can just reach in now.
Nice.
It went better than I expected. Open it from the inside.
Open the door.
The smell of cigarettes and perfume welcomes you. The cabin inside is plastered with old movie posters. Actresses smile from the walls. There's a radio transmitter in the front and a toolbox tucked under the driver's seat. Some tools lie scattered near the pedals. There's something odd about the passenger seat. The seating fabric has been pulled tight over the lower side of the seat where the toolbox should be.
There's some good posters in there.
These are movie posters featuring starlets from long-forgotten films from the 20s, the teens, even the 90s of the last century. One of them particularly catches your eye, a centerfold of an ingenue attached right above the back seat. There's definitely perfume in the air. It's spicy, with a hint of amberette, wafting through the bitter air of the cabin.
Smell.
The remnants of a sweet juniper-scented perfume, probably Grenade No. 5.
Study the
The
centerfold.
actress is draped in a sheathed dress, one of her shoulders bared. The faded remains of an autograph run across the poster. She's looking past the camera. A feeling of tenderness washes over you. A longing even, perhaps. And gentle tragedy. This is Tijon, a starlet from the dawn of cinematography, less known for her talent than her tragic, untimely death.
What happened to her?
She wasted away in a drug den called the Door to the River, not far from here, on Boogie Street, a mixture of cocaine and morphine. She was afraid of the world, and the camera, too.
Enough of the posters.
The actresses and the rear actor all smile you a warm goodbye. A radio transmitter is attached to the dashboard, and a toolbox sits under the driver's seat. Looks like the frequency dial is absent. It requires a key to work, but the key has been removed, likely by the missing lady driver.
Strange. There are so many radio stations saved here. Must be over 100 at least.
I don't even need so many radio stations.
For contacting an entire fleet of lorrymen, for example. This is all shortwave, UW and UKV. Looks like we are dealing with an impressive organizational tool. The nerve center of a huge operation. With quite a range, too.
Is there anything we can do with the radio?
Doesn't look like it. It's completely inoperable without a dial key.
Okay, what else?
The ghostly actresses and the rusty toolbox under the driver's seat and the oddly bulging seat cover.
Check the pedals.
You wedge yourself under the steering wheel to get a better look. Seems like the few tools lying around here, a hammer, a pair of pliers, a rusty wrench, have been casually thrown there by the disorganized driver. But one odd detail does catch your eye. A piece of sandpaper has been glued to the throttle. Sandpaper adds extra grip.
Looks like the driver has glued a piece of sandpaper to the throttle to offer some extra grip.
Sandpaper? A novel technique?
The sandpaper would also rub off the pattern from the driver's right boot sole, huh?
Yes?
He likes where this is going, so do I.
Do the honors, he thinks. Connect it yourself.
One of the footprints of the crime scene had an aberration. One sole was smoother than the other.
Which means that the missing lady driver was present at the lynching.
Lieutenant's eyes light up behind his prescription lens. Holy fuck. Trust the drugs when this had survived.
Now we know for certain who is the missing eighth person at the lynching. Do you think that Hardy and his boys could also be involved in the drug operation?
Not necessarily. Lady driver could have kept the drug trade a secret. This would fit what Joyce told us, but I don't want to make any assumptions.
Understood. We should still go and see what Titus has got to say on the matter. Are we finished with the lorry?
The movie stars are still smiling from the walls. The radio transmitter sits on the center console and a faint smell of perfume is in the air. You close the rug.
We definitely need to return.
A lorry, the smell of... There's something odd about it. A metallic drawer slides out from the seat. It's empty, except for a folded newspaper.
Let's fold the newspaper.
It's an issue of Petit Féric from last Wednesday. A piece of paper falls out from its pages. It looks like an article ripped out from a radio enthusiast magazine. Complex mathematical equations explain the basics of something called the ULAN frequency system.
What the hell is this?
The ULAN frequency system? I've never heard of that before. I know of FM, AM, UKV, but...
His thoughts trail off.
The pull-out toolbox slides back into its nest. The rest is as it was. Posters, a radio, dust on the windows.
Peel off the cover on the passenger seat.
Voila! A stack of neatly folded papers has been stashed behind the seating fabric. You see 3 maps depicting a large metropolitan area. It's Revachol. Some of its routes and highways have been outlined with a pen.
Bonne prise.
Lieutenant commends you as you shift through the treasure, well worn and folded into neat squares. Fold open the top.
This large map displays the elevated motorway called 881. The intake leading to Martinez is marked with a blue X. There's another X on the off-ramp at a place called the Old South. Toll booths at the intakes are marked with a circle. It looks like there are scant few ways of getting onto the elevated motorway that runs over Jamrock, and this person knows them all. There, hundreds of thousands of motor carriages roar on the 881, high above the massive brown and red roofs that is Jamrock. The commuters don't even look down. The world ceases to exist outside the windshield.
Where does the road
To
lead?
Kuro, through the middle-income neighborhoods there, by the river, and then to Stella Maris and La Delta for work, while the men and women of Jamrock scuttle to their fates below the road.
Hold open the second.
This municipal map from the 30s displays a complex system of storm sewers underneath a sub-district called the Pox, old military hospital, right adjacent to the 41st precinct. No storm will ever drown Revachol. The great solution to the riddle of history.
Look at the third
The
map.
final map displays a labyrinth of service tunnels left over from the construction of Motorway 881. A few routes have been marked with a pen, where the tunnels and sewers surface near the eminent domain, and a traffic island in central Jamrock, by the lake. Looks like the smugglers have infiltrated the road network belonging to East Motor Tract.
So it would seem.
Lieutenant examines the map with a furrowed brow.
The RCM patrols most of these auxiliary roads, though apparently not all of them.
Where's the contraband?
Hard to say. This distribution network looks certainly large, yet still vague enough. It doesn't reveal much about the Besmerti behind it.
Besmerti, that sounds vaguely familiar.
The Besmerti is a Revacholian crime syndicate. They see themselves as the inheritors of the 14 Revacholian Indo-tribes. But really they're just violent gangs vying for control on the west side of Revachol. With cool names like La Puta Madre and Aura Mazda. It's a dark parody.
Who do you think is behind this?
It's definitely not the Union. They just do some logistics. This operation has spread everywhere in Jamrock. If it's that widespread, then Madre remains the most likely suspect. Here's bad news. There have been attempts at a serious investigation before, but they haven't ended well for those involved.
Lieutenant Kitsuragi is a brave man for saying Madre's name, without the winces and whispers that usually...
Best not to disturb the scene. I'll have forensics go over the lorry and pick this up later.
The stack of maps looks just like before, barely noticeable. He closed the...
Great. I think we got everything. A word, detective? Before we return to Joyce?
I want to know what level she's operating.
Alright, we're finished here. Let's quickly debrief and go over what we found, so we don't do it in front of the company rep.
Okay. I'm gonna use the restroom real quick.
Honestly, I'm quite worried by what we've seen so far. The evidence seems to point to a rather extensive and well-organized operation. I'm especially intrigued by that radio transmitter, particularly the sheer number of stations it can connect. Looks like this alleged drug trade casts a wide net.
1 second. Sweet.
This means it's well funded. Technology like that, a major player must be financing it.
I'm not sure what the Ulan frequencies are all about, but they may hold some significance. Perhaps it's a better way to connect between fleets while avoiding frequency bleed, or maybe it's used to tap into RCM networks. Oh, and the maps we found. They reveal the geographical extent of the operation. Looks like they've used abandoned tunnels and access roads to stay hidden. This is useful info. And last but not least, it looks like the Hardy Boys knew this driver, as we know that she was present at the lynching. This may be the Union connection we've been searching for.
The probe and the case converged, he thinks. This was quite the find.
Like Joyce told us, yes, logistically. But don't expect to bust this open during our stay here. At best, this is an angle we can use against them, to other ends, as extra ammunition.
So CM open investigation.
We should return to the murder case. See what Joyce tells us about the lynching. When we are done for the day, I call my station and suggest our narcotics department look into it. There are more than enough grounds to start an official investigation, sometime later when we are done here. We do not want to get caught in that.
You stop to think. Well, what are you thinking about?
The fact that one hasn't started already gives me pause. An investigation, I mean. Especially if the Madrid grouping is involved, and I can't imagine they aren't. It's certainly worrisome.
Corruption?
All the same, I don't like the idea of internal affairs descending on the matter. That won't help anyone either.
Okay, debrief over?
Debrief over. After you.
I want to get the tattoo angle. I've been really wanting to do that for a bit now. Hey, officer, got a minute?
I, saw you poking around in Lady Driver's lorry. She in trouble?
Racist told us where cabinets we only
Still better than me, I guess. Told you there's plenty of others who'd tell on her. But, is she in trouble?
Sorry, man, I can't disclose the facts of an official investigation.
It's that bad. Man, what should I do? What should I do to help her?
Really don't.
Damn. I always warned her to watch herself. Man. Nothing to do now, I guess. Maybe I should just keep my head down and work on my rhymes while I can.
What's the plan with those rhymes anyway?
Oh, you know. Tommy Leham's gonna be a musician. Sprechgesang, but with beats. I've got a lot of free time on the road to hone my craft.
The correct grammar is Tommy Lahom.
Why Tommy Lahom?
Tommy Lahom was taken. My real name's Jerry Lafitte. Tommy's way better.
It's more him.
Good luck with that, Tommy.
Yeah, you too. Be safe, detective.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? Until you come up with something at that
She simply nods.
Yes, my eyes on the harbour have sent word to that effect. What have you discovered?
Where exactly are those eyes located?
It doesn't really matter. And I do apologize for the surveillance. Wild Pines can't afford to be blind at a time like this.
One of the tall buildings overlooking the roundabout, most likely. That would give them a read on the entire quarter.
In any case, it's a relief to know someone has looked into it. If I may ask, will there be an official investigation? I assume you discovered there is an operation.
If there is an investigation, it will be part of an ongoing operation, subject to confidentiality. I'm sure you understand.
Of course, detectives. In any case, you've held up your end of our arrangement. I trust you with the rest. Now it's my turn. I wouldn't normally break protocol like this, but the situation demands it. If you don't solve this murder, I'm afraid we may have a bloodbath on our hands.
I've already heard about the connection between the lynching and strike, but I need your testimony.
I have an indirect role to play. I'm sad to say. My employer experienced a momentary lapse of faith in me. In that moment, they elected to deploy a private military contractor as an insurance measure. They called it my security detail.
A momentary lapse of faith. Clarify.
They were dispatched after I relayed the union's initial offer.
Every worker...
A member of the board. I tried to convince my employer it was simply a piece of rhetoric, or a joke. They did not appreciate the humor.
You feel like you need a security detail?
Absolutely not. These mercenaries are muscle, pure and simple. They are meant to intimidate the Union into surrendering.
Who are they, exactly?
Crenel, an Oranese military company. As far as I know, 3 arrived in Martinez. They report to me sporadically, but they do not answer to me. To be frank, our relationship is deteriorating. They wear ceramic armor, have semi-automatic weapons, and years of combat experience. They also have trauma and stressor disorder, and no idea how to conduct themselves in an urban civilian environment.
So, what happened?
The story is, one of them, the Colonel, I don't know his real name, sexually assaulted a local woman while he was drunk and separated from his unit. This allowed some of the more militant Union members to subdue him. He was taken out behind the whirling in rags and lynched last Sunday night.
What then?
Nothing. Mr. Clare refuses to let me into the harbor. I have not been able to discuss this matter with anyone there. The remaining 2 Crenel contractors carry out their orders, for now.
For now?
It's a smokescreen. In secret, they are conducting an independent military tribunal into the lynching.
Oh, fucking boy.
Once this investigation is concluded, executions will follow.
What is the nature of this so-called investigation?
Whether to execute one, some, or all of the Union militants.
Boy, oh boy, is that not good?
It's not good, no. My only hope is that you provide a single concrete suspect before the mercenaries indiscriminately pick theirs. Simply put,
She grabs hold of the mainsail.
if you don't pin this on someone good, and do it fast, they will identify and execute everyone present at the lynching. This in turn will force the Union to respond.
The Debarders have over 2,000 men. It will be 1,000 to 1.
Have you ever seen a hornet invade a beehive, Lieutenant? It's not pretty.
The Serai's giant hornet, the world's 2nd largest insect, can kill 40 honeybees a minute, while a group of 30 can decimate an entire hive of 20,000 bees in less than 4 hours.
These men work in tandem using semi- and fully automatic firearms. Their armor is virtually impenetrable to muzzle-loaded weapons, even yours. Most Union workers don't have guns at all. As I said, a bloodbath.
This is a pretty bleak scenario you're describing.
Many bleak scenarios have already come true, Lieutenant W. Frater Dubois. All we can do is keep the rest from going the same way. One single concrete suspect delivered into civil court, and I may be able to defuse this situation.
Okay. This is, yeah. Okay. Quite the fucking conundrum.
Not much. Their public resume is relatively good, as far as private military contractors go. I believe they were once called Downwell.
Down a deep, black well.
They boast a long list of clients. Saint-Baptiste, Welchman-Lorenz, Eintracht. A warning sign, however. The operations concerned all take place in 3rd or 4th world countries. Guarding facilities, escort missions and such.
meaning they're used to operating in war zones.
Yes. All the good conflict corridors, Supramundi, Yesut, the Seminese Islands, countries that don't have a good record reporting atrocious military conduct on their soil.
Okay, anything else you got on them?
Sadly, no. Before this happened, I had little interest in them. Now that I do, I don't have the resources.
She thinks.
If you still have access to the ICP's database, you could run a better background check than I ever could. It may take some time, though.
Thanks.
Do you know a lot about the inner workings of the RCM and the ICP, man?
In my line of work, it pays to do your research. I was prepared to deal with the RCM. I did not think I'd be dealing with a group like Crenell.
Can you contact the company, tell them to call off?
I have. And they will. However, these orders take time to reach what is basically a rogue unit out in the field here. Until they do, it's all on us.
She's being truthful. She is pressing them as hard as she can.
You said that he assaulted
Well,
me?
he didn't. This is information passed on to me from some teenagers loitering around the canal. I cannot testify by it.
Who did the passing on, then?
The remaining contractors. Their tribunal. It's what they believe.
What did these teenagers by the canal say?
That the man was killed because he assaulted a local woman. I've asked around a bit. This seems to be the accepted story around Martinez.
The lieutenant consults his notebook, his eyebrows knitted in concentration.
We haven't heard any reports about an assault in connection with the lynching. Where did it take place? And when?
Titus mentioned it.
Last Sunday night, at the Whirling in Rags, the hostel by the gates. Supposedly, the colonel was drunk, maybe on narcotics too. Either way, he's alleged to have sexually assaulted a woman. Sometime later, a group of dock workers got their hands on him.
Who was this woman?
That's a good question, officer. I don't have the slightest idea. As I said, it's a rumor. About a rumor. In any case, it's what the colonel's remaining colleagues believe.
You'll meet her soon enough, you feel.
Colonel, the one who was hanged, did you know?
If you mean did I see him alive? Yes. But I did not know him.
His name was...
Lely. His service name. A nom de guerre, most likely. He wouldn't divulge his full name. Only one of them did. A bad sign if there ever was one.
Can you get the others first?
One is a man. Corty, they call him. A nickname as well. The other a woman. Phyllis DePaul. Corty is the gunner, I believe. DePaul is a radio operator.
What would you say was his eye color? The deceased's?
She closes her eyes, trying to picture the man's face, then shakes her head.
I can't remember.
It's a pang of regret to her voice.
The lieutenant was testing her, asking a small detail first to see if she knew him better than she let on. She passed.
That's all right, man. Anything else? Nationality? What would you say was his age?
He was 40. Or 50. It's hard to say which. He had a combat injury on his lower jaw. It made it difficult to estimate his age, or gauge his facial expressions.
Indeed. This matches the dental reconstruction we saw on the body. What else? Nationality? Accent?
He was, Occidental, I think. Light brown hair, a mixed accent. Oranese. Or Messinian, maybe. His injury gave him an accent all his own. In a way, it was humanizing. He had to learn to speak through it. Through the injury. That's all I know, I guess. I only met him once.
Where are the main tumors
They've
now?
gone to ground, as it were. I don't recommend seeking them out. For one, they're almost certainly armed to the teeth. They don't have the same respect for the Revachol citizens' militia as I do. To put it bluntly, they think you're vigilantes. Ghetto savages. It will not be a fruitful meeting.
Still need to know where they are.
You're likely to run into them eventually. When that happens, I'll be in a better position to mediate if I don't appear involved.
Scab leader murder badge reply. clothes didn't fit right, didn't pass background check.
One is obviously the scab leader at the harbour gates. The one chanting the idiotic slogans. He's barely maintaining his disguise. The other has a vantage point in a building south of the roundabout. They were keeping tabs on you while you were canvassing the lorry drivers.
One must be the goon floating work close by the harbour gates, the scab leader.
That may be so. I still hope you heed my advice. There's no need to kick the hornet's nest.
For all your talk of averting this catastrophe, the situation at the gate is a powder keg. Does this not bother you?
Of course it bothers me, Lieutenant. But my hands are tied. How would my employer react if it appeared I were intervening on behalf of the Union?
Your concern may be appearances. Ours is keeping the peace.
One is probably in a building overlooking the roundabout.
Would afford a good vantage point. In any case, it's practically inaccessible.
Where is your radio for contacting them, if I may ask? Do you have an earpiece?
Heavens no. I'm not an undercover agent. There's a short wave at the ship's wheel.
Now it's towards the sleep cabin. Do you have another point? Another question.
I hope I can answer it better.
How much time do we have?
Until the executions start? Truthfully, I don't know. It depends on their progress identifying the members of the lynch mob, and their impatience.
They don't report their progress to you?
Not on this matter. I'm afraid they consider this a personal initiative.
There's a brief silence. Seagulls squawk over the bay. I wasn't planning on going for that fucking long, but dear God. I'm kind of pulled in now.
5 days, not more. Maybe sooner.
It's a matter of days, not weeks.
That's enough for now.
I am sorry to have been the bearer of bad news. If there is anything else I can help you with, please ask.
Can you tell me about these tattoos?
Of course. Excuse my hesitation before.
She reaches over the guard bar and takes the photo, holds it in her
For
hand.
about half a minute, in silence, she wears fingerless gloves. Her fingernails are cut short and fractured, like those of a working woman.
It was taken with a trigette not long ago. This is the man's upper body. There were no more markings on his hands or legs.
Just get quiet, observer expression.
Her mouth is relaxed. The accordion lines near her mouth vanish. The pearls of her eyes move slowly on the photo's surface.
Sorry. I was trying to see if I can read the web of interdependencies between these points. The stars.
She points to one on the photo paper.
I can't. But that's how you read this story. The points themselves don't have letters, numbers, anything. Their size, location on the body, and distance from each other tells you what they represent.
Like stars in the sky.
Close. Port cities. This is an Oronese map of the waterways, a sailor's tattoo worn by wayfarers of the Dolorian century. Over 300 years ago, the sailors would mark their bodies to map their travels.
What's the use of this map?
The sailor's soul would use it to fly back home if they should die abroad. This is a sort of contraption to be reeled back in by. The silver cord, they would call it.
Where is he now?
Smoking him. For now, the soul is fastened beside his corpse.
That is precisely what the sailors feared when they drew these maps. A fear of drowning within one's own corpse.
Ooh, the rock got him to it. Gotcha. What travels did the dead man make?
Quite a few. Vredefort, the Oronese capital, traditionally stands on the right shoulder. He started somewhere near here, I think.
What next?
Then he made his way to the Pretto Grande, through what I think must be the Stutz Canal, an artificial channel through the Occident. From the Pretto, he sailed to the Insulindic Ocean, first the Semnes Islands, then this.
She points to his heart.
Revachol. Those are the two constants. Vredefort on the shoulder, and Revachol in the heart. They started the tradition of these maps right after the discovery of Insulinde, at the dawn of the Interinsulary Age.
The old world passing by, and the new world already here.
You said you can't read it.
I can't. This man was no sailor, and these are no ports. I can understand geographic fragments, but not their meaning.
You can tell me
His
more.
platoon members? The other contractors. Though I do not suggest you go and show them that picture. This man was their friend and comrade.
Surely there are other people to ask about the tattoo. This is not necessary to complete the task, officer. It's a dangerous side task. Search elsewhere.
Alright, not a good idea.
I am relieved you think so. I don't think deciphering that tattoo should come before public security.
Oh, the tattoos, thank you very
Is
much.
there anything else I...
That should be it for now, I think. Jesus. Okay, so. Jesus. Can you keep, where are you?
Just an ordinary wall. Nothing to see here. You have no clue. It's just so many walls all over Martinez. Weather-worn, cracked. They're paint peeling.
I find it interesting that I wasn't really getting shivers checks until, like, pretty fucking recently. My gun back, that'd be kind of...
The door has braved the elements for decades. The copper nails holding the upholstery in place have turned green from sea air, and so is the knocker, shaped like a lion's head. Someone is moving around in the apartment. You hear the water being turned off, and the sound of dishes clinking together. The tenant must be cleaning up. That means you're too late. Nothing more to do here. Better report back to Everard. The key stops midway in the lock. Something's blocking its path. Not a sound is coming from the apartment. The lieutenant looks first at the door, then back at you, then signals you to back off.
We should go back to Everard then. It's not a fishing rod. Is it? It's...
Mr. Dubois, a pleasure as always. You don't have to sit down this time, since you've already sat on that chair. Yes, yes. My best men are tracking it down. Some kids saw some other kids running away with it. Some folks said a paranoid schizophrenic might have it. Leads are being checked, Harry. What's that, Harry? You're getting a little pale. Is it the words paranoid schizophrenic? You fucked up. You waited too long, the weasel came back, and now you can't... Everard forgives, Harry. Don't cry, my boy. It's gonna be all right. I'm still gonna tell you about the murder. That's just the way I am. Benevolent. Now let's get down to brass tacks. It's time for men like me and you to figure out who's killed who and why. Real police work is gonna start happening now. I promise you, Harry, this is gonna be good.
Heard about a connection between the lynching and the strike. I'd like to know hear what you know about it.
By now, I'm sure you've figured out who the dead man was working for. The bad guys. Wild Pines. Sent to scare us. Another violent measure of the top hats against us flatcaps. Harry, this strike is the culmination of many, many mistakes made by the Wild Pines group. They tried to shut the strike down by sending in armed mercenaries.
You mean our victim?
A security contractor? Can you imagine that? Workers standing in peaceful protest, united in the spirit of fellowship, and they send hired killers to mow us down with machine gun fire? I'm talking beasts, hardened killers from proxy wars in Yesut, Semenine, Saramaritsa. You name it, they've done it. Raping, killing, burning villages, killing little children for the Senorita Pineapple Company, Harry. Everything they did there, they brought over here. They want to turn Revachol into a third world slum. Honestly, the only thing they didn't do is kill the village elephant. Now, I haven't personally witnessed the brutalities out there. I have the luxury of staying in my container, you see. If I need to go somewhere, they just move my container.
Wait, they moved the container?
Yes. I'm an old man, Harry. My legs aren't what they used to be. They lift my office with that big crane. It's actually very fun. You should try it. But enough about me and my fun container. The killers the company hired, I think there were 3 of them, all hardened commando types. One of them got downright suicidal. Getting drunk, violent, a little rapey. Even their own negotiator couldn't control him. That's your boy, the one who likes hanging out and trees.
By negotiator, you mean Joyce?
Harry, what you need to realize is, we dock workers are not pushovers. We got grit, Harry. This whole neighborhood does. Push us hard enough and we push back. And when we do, we push to kill.
Who exactly did the pushing?
There's a militant wing inside the Union. A group of people whose duties don't involve manual labor, but peacekeeping in the neighborhood, making sure everything runs smoothly.
That sounds a bit like organized crime.
They're like you guys. Idealistic people who want to make sure bad things don't happen. And if they already have, well, punishment must follow.
Again, that sounds like organized crime.
So these idealists killed our victim?
One day Titus Hardy, leader of this peacekeeping faction, comes up to me and says, "Boss, socialist democratic fervor drove us to take it upon ourselves to kill this beast that was burdening the land." He probably worded it differently, but that was the idea. Sure sounded to me like they killed him. I gave them 2 weeks paid leave and told them to lay low to avoid retaliation.
Aren't you worried we might arrest them for this?
Oh, I'm not at all worried about that. These are not the kind of men who get arrested. They're Martinez boys, tough and gritty. I'd like to see the man who takes them in. Besides, I sent my lawyer girl to look after them.
If he's just boasting, then it sure doesn't feel like that to you. He's not worried. He places a lot of faith in that lawyer girl. Perhaps this is a tactical error. Anyway.
Tell me about Titus Hardy and his crew.
Oh, they are simply fine young men, all 7 of them. Exemplary union members, always working to advance their position in the local socialist democratic movement. Core members, Old Theo used to run them, but things really kicked into gear when Titus took the reins and named the group after himself. Gotta love his initiative.
Interesting. Who's second in command?
They're almost all of them great guys, born leaders. Whatever happened, I'm sure they only had the best interests of Martinez and Revachol in mind. Work with them. Hell, interview them. But don't fight them. They really are just like you. Men who like beer, women, and some order on the streets.
Everett, I met these targets. Can you ask them to cooperate
But
with me?
of course, it's the least I can do for my good friend Harry. I'll do it right after we've concluded this talk.
You can now go and tell Titus about this. See what he has to say.
Also, Harry, here's 5 real.
I don't need it. I only want your help with Hardy Boys.
Oh, I wasn't offering it to you, just holding it out there. But I'm willing to share information. Was there anything else?
Mentioned a lawyer.
Oh, Liz is a bright one. I paid for that law degree myself, thinking it'll probably turn her all fancy. But hell, Harry, she came back a firebrand socialist. Sometimes she scares me with her zeal. Was it a good talk? I'm not sure we made much headway here. I was hoping we'd bust the case wide open. Heck, I even wanted to tell you what I really want to achieve with the strike. I don't know what happened, Harry. I wanted you to feel like Mr. Martinez. And of course, I also wanted you to find your gun. But it's like I can't completely trust you. Yet.
Yet?
Yes, Harry. It's like I can't fully trust you if you're not a man of the left. I want to, but I just can't.
A man of the left. So you have to be a social democrat. He's been hurt too much in the past by men who aren't social democrats.
Well, the corrupt scheme isn't. I'm neither left nor right. I do what my heart tells me.
What does your heart tell you about your lost gun, Harry? Does it tell you to forget about it? Or do you think it wants to be found? I think it's lonely and cold. I think it wants to be found, and I have a proposal for you.
And what would this entail?
Once again, I require nothing unethical or illegal of you. You just need to get 2 little signatures on this piece of paper, and then mail it to my accountant in La Delta. I'm glad you asked, Harry. The Union is going to build a modern youth centre in Martinez. It will be righteous. We're gonna get those teenagers off drugs, and on roller skates. There's a nameless little street on the coast with some old houses around it. Most people have already signed. I just need 2 more signatures to get this mission off the ground, Harry.
You mean the fishing
Yes,
village?
yes, the little cul-de-sac on the coast, where all the men have drowned, in either the sea or the bottle. A gloomy place, doesn't have that Union attitude.
You're already pretty deep into this. What's a little more? No one can see you here in Martinez.
What will happen to the current occupants?
They are just gonna have to deal with the construction noise for 6 months, and then they'll be living like kings. Right next to a fancy new youth centre, designed by the best architects from Stella Marie.
Is he absolutely sure the tenants won't be thrown out in the street?
Are you 100% sure no one's going to end up homeless?
Am I? Harry, these people, Martinez is the most important thing in my life. I would never let anything bad happen to them. We're gonna build a youth centre there. The value of their properties goes up and kids have a place to play in. I'm looking out for these people, not pulling the rug from under them, Harry. I'm looking out for all of Martinez, not just the harbour.
He means it.
Oh, he means it. I don't know. He might just be wrong, though. Kim, what do you think of this?
Depends. I don't think what we just got from Mr. Clare was very useful.
But, he thinks, it's your call.
As I said, it weighs on me heavily. But once we get really talking, well, I'm gonna hand you the keys to Martinez, and maybe even help you figure out who's behind this killing.
He's saying as little as possible, as vaguely as he can, deliberately omitting things.
Fine, if I happen to be there, I can ask them.
You bring joy to my heart, Harry. Such a pleasure to be working with you. Here.
Means you can open my envelope.
You need to get signatures from Isabel Sadie and Lillian Carter. The cul-de-sac is right past the pawn shop and across the canal. I heard there was some trouble with the water lock, but it should be fixed now. Once you have the signatures, mail this to 13022 La Rocca in La Delta. Then we can talk about your gun. See you soon, Deba.
I can sort of talk to them about what the consequences of it would actually be and then make my decision based on that info. It seems, you know, basically fair.
I've got nothing to say to you. Why are you wasting your time?
Was he Elizabeth Miss Buffon?
I suggest not wasting time on trivial pleasantries and focusing on why you are actually here. Titus Hardy.
He points to the tall man by the table.
Even though she has excellent control over herself, something moved behind her eyes. In the way she stands. In her face. You caught her off guard. Push her some more.
He's willing to tell you about you. He likes to talk a lot.
You are not here to chat up the legal counsel. You are here to question these men.
You set the pace and the topic of these conversations here. Establish that a man like Easy Leo could have said anything. Do not be restrained, sire.
You said you're the union fixer. You fix
I am a
things.
legal counsel. Don't make this personal.
A very minor victory.
Looks like the circus left town, but the clowns are still here.
Titus does not look particularly happy to see you. Never talked prosecutor.
Oh, so you went and talked to my mommy, and now she's making me play with you. Is that it, lawman?
And what's gonna happen if we don't? You gonna go and tell on us?
Very mature, guys. Everett sent word, right?
Yeah, I heard him. The fuck do you think I'm doing here? You'd have your ass handed to you if it wasn't for the boss man's word. Let me state this very clearly, capo. Hello, officer. I'm Titus Hardy, and these are my boys. Hardy boys. How may we assist you?
But having Everard back you up like that did seem to have some effect.
Again, just get the dead guy.
Good one, Titus.
About fucking time.
Fix the local drug trade.
Like hell you have. There is no local drug trade. This place is as clean as a rifle. Go back to Jamrock and ask the local junkies how clean your streets are in Precinct 41 Kilos.
We'll do that. In the meantime, did you know that there's an abandoned lorry at the intersection that was used to move raw ingredients for drugs from Terminal B to Jamrock? The person driving it was present at the hanging. It was one of you. We've connected the footprints. Detective, do you want to deliver the coup de grace?
There is no local drug trade, except you.
That's a mighty interesting theory. I guess that's what you would need to do, theoretically. A big, strong, state-run monopoly would outcompete the runts on the street.
Yeah, man. Theoretically, that's what you would do. To get rid of the gangs, the dealers, even some of the junkies.
You would need good, trustworthy people to take their place, of course. Hardy men to run such a monopoly. For the good of the community, of course.
Yes, but that just sends everyone else to Jamrock, doesn't it?
You've just diverted the flow to Jamrock. You've made it our
We
problem.
haven't done anything. But theoretically, it has to be someone's problem. So it might as well be yours.
Takes a sip of his beer and smiles.
Titus, I'm amazed. Where is the same professionalism when it comes to other topics? You're doing great. I hardly have to interfere at all.
I don't know, Lizzie. I guess theoretical things don't make me emotional. Now, was there anything else? I was sorta gonna get my brewski on.
Not quite yet, Mr. Hardy. There were 8 sets of prints on the crime scene. There are only 7 Hardy boys here.
You've heard of the one who runs, the one who's missing. She runs the thing, right?
My answer is fuck off. Mind your own business. There is no 8th Hardy. I run this goddamn scene.
And here we go. Back to the usual.
No in size.
I know! Fatty walked on all 4s. He's so fucking fat he left 2 sets of footprints.
Go fuck your mom, Dennis.
That's more like it, boys. You heard him. It was Angus on all 4s. Anything else you need to know?
Do I want to show my hand in that one? I don't particularly think so.
The man ponders his cooking utensils and gives you a little nod, acknowledging your presence.
You just said you're friends with Manana, is that true?
The mention of Manana gets his attention. He smiles and delivers a whole slew of unfamiliar words and lively gestures. Then he falls silent again. They're friends?
Isn't that Borscht you're making there?
The man says a couple of sentences in that strange language of his, and then seems to wait for you to speak. I'm pretty sure he asked you a question. He doesn't know your language. You can just say something cool in return.
Mercury rising. Run your fingers through your hair. Absolutely.
Borscht need more vodka?
Picks up the bottle from the shelf.
Okay, so it's vodka that keeps the men happy and in good spirits. Clever move by the Union.
Of course, vodka. Now that makes a very, very special borscht indeed. Turn it up and then ask for some yourself. Turning it up seems like a dangerous idea, honestly. The place is a powder keg.
No vodka. Cut it.
The cook gives you a long, disappointed look, then turns the stove off and seems to wait for you to speak.
I'll stay masculine.
I help you? Another thing, yes?
I think, that should do.
Our tenant, the policeman. I hope the waves don't keep you up at night. What can I help you with? Eh? What's this about? Come now, I can't read all this scribble. Tell me what it says.
Everyone wants to turn part of the village into a little youth center?
I might be half blind, but it looks like part of the village is gonna be a street. The best part. The part we need to get out of our houses. Have you asked Lillian about this? I won't even consider signing till I know she's on board.
It's probably worth asking her now.
Waves are beginning to die down. Look at those little bastards. Simmer down. Simmer down, bastards.
Why does she care about the waves so much?
What is it with waves and fishermen? We need to be out there with them, fishing, making a living. So I asked them to accommodate me. But until that happens, I can try to assist you the best I can. So, what will it be, officer?
Your signature.
For you? This says by signing, I agree to living with construction noise. What exactly is the Union building?
Everard's planning to turn Simple Village into a youth center.
What a nice idea. Wouldn't have thought that.
She sounds incredulous about the niceness of the idea.
But what exactly?
That Everard and the Union have nice plans for anything. I thought they only cared about themselves. Well, I guess Union members have children too.
And those members have a vote when electing the head of the local chapter.
Aye, if you say so. Probably better that way. I mean, who likes construction noise?
I would... something about this just doesn't sit right with me. Out the stream. I don't really know what to make of that choice. It's screwing with me. Like, none of them are like. I thought I would get the counter narrative from them, but fucking Joyce. Joyce probably knows. But that's gonna have to wait. For a bit at least. So, yeah.